And see, I had a weak nuke yesterday when I was going through the nukes getting them ready, and I decided I needed another comb of brood in one of my nukes. So what did I do? I stole a comb of brood from this colony, as I did to make all the other nukes that we're selling. Okay. And what did I replace it with? A frame of foundation.
And you put that in the middle.
I don't put it in the middle. No, ma'am.
No, put it on the
Ideally, I don't put it on the sidewall either, because they'll treat it as the sidewall if you do that. They'll be very reluctant to draw out that foundation and turn that into comb if it's on the sidewall. You ready to give that back? What do we have here? We have young brood? Yes. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 combs of brood in the bottom. We got 1, 2 combs of brood in the top, and that one's got brood on it as well. Is that right?
So if you have an 8 frame, do you have like 3 and 3 of brood?
Oh, and an 8 frame?
Yeah.
You're just
you
starting out with the one in the first box.
You can have all your brood in the bottom, okay?
Yeah.
That would be fine. So 6 combs of brood in the bottom would be good. I wouldn't purposefully try to distribute it 3 and 3.
Okay.
But if they grow out of the bottom and you've got 4 or 5 in the bottom and you've got 3 or 4 in the top, that's fine too, right? The more the better before the honey flow starts. And once the honey flow starts, they'll slowly start to backfill and crowd the queen down, right? And if you don't give the bees more room when they're on a honey flow, give them a place to put the honey, they'll eventually crowd the queen down where she can't lay at all, and they'll swarm. Okay? So now it's time to put this colony back together. Any more questions about how I arranged it there? I moved the brood down. Why did I do that?
Because they always work their way up.
They'll expand more readily up. Yeah, it'll be a long time before that queen moves back down. But when the honey flow starts, she'll move up and start laying even more up here. And I've got 2 good combs of brood up here, 2.5 really.
You never did see the queen, right?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you did?
I'm sorry, did you not see that? I'm sorry. And so I've got some bees hanging off the bottom here, right? So we're just going to shake those off real quick. And then we're going to gently put that back together, right? Now look at how many bees are coming in with pollen. Back off, because look how many are behind you. They can't find the hive right now.
So when you're starting off, like,
You're fine, but I mean, can you see? You see? Look at the front of the hive.
How often do you do this? Go through and move the combs around for the frame turn?
Oh, a big workover like this would be a big workover. You wouldn't have to do this very often.
Like once
Maybe
week, or-
maybe a couple of times. No, a couple of times during the spring.
Oh.
What are you going to do once the honey flow starts? Are you going to make any changes in it?
Well, yeah, we can talk about that. So one of the things that I had done last time, because again, I thought the honey flow was starting, about to start, and it did go for like a day or two, and then the weather got cool again, and it just didn't happen. I initially had this modified on the bottom. So last fall, to get this colony ready for winter, I had a super of honey on top and 2 brood chambers with brood and bees in them. And I moved the super of honey down, okay, to the bottom. All right? And the reason I did that is I wanted to hold the queen down, if possible, okay, and give honey down there near the brood nest. Helps them expand quickly in the springtime. As I worked through it last time, they'd eaten all the honey in the bottom, so they had dry modified on the bottom, and 2 supers full of bees and brood. 2 brood chambers full of bees and brood above it. So I took it off, moved the brood chambers down, put this on top so that they had a place to put honey, right? So that's why this is up here right now. Now hopefully I'll come back in a month, and then the middle of June I'll need to put another super on this colony. But I won't do that until this one is comfortably full of honey. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, if these 7 combs are mostly full and capped, right? And they're working on the edges, you know that it's time to give them more room. And if they're on a really big honey flow, like sometimes they can get to be in some parts of the world, just putting 1 super on at a time is not enough if it's a big, strong colony full of bees, because they'll fill it up faster than you can get back and put another one on there.
You don't have a board between the roof and frame, why not?
Like,
I try to minimize the amount of extra equipment on my hives because I move them around sometimes, and I don't want to pay to carry all that extra woodenware around. And the way I manipulate my colonies, I don't feel like I need honey excluders on for honey production. I'll even let them go ahead and have a honey super there without putting an excluder first. Why do I do that? Well, remember that the excluder will let bees through and not let queens through, but even bees have to kind of wriggle through it. And if they have a full honey stomach, they'll have a hard time getting through the excluder. Right? So you're potentially losing some honey that way too. Not much. It doesn't matter for most people. Most people would rather have a honey super that they know has no brood in it.
Sure, it's a lot easier to harvest.
Yep, right. Okay. So, as you can tell, we've been in this hive for a while. We've been, manipulating it. It's not stinging us, right? So I like this temperament.
Yeah.
Okay? We're okay with that. But I've been using the smoke. Have you noticed how that I've been periodically putting smoke on the colony? Not just when I first opened it. So I try to pay attention to that as we go through and work some more colonies now, because that's something that is really important to learn, is like when to put on smoke, how much to put on. You can put on too much, right? You can put on not enough. Neither are optimal, right? Just the right amount. And sometimes it takes some practice to get that right.
What gives you the signs to put on more?
Okay, well, we'll talk about that more, but you basically want to pay attention to the behavior of the colony. Okay, what are those bees doing that? What are the signals that they're giving me? Okay, number one, if they start to get angry, the frequency of the buzz changes.
yeah, I noticed that.
Okay, the hum kind of becomes more shrill. Okay, and you'll notice the posture of individual bees in the colony. You'll start to see more bees that are like arching their abdomens up. Okay, pointing their butts in the air.
Like that one right there. Well, it's not anymore because it just got tapped by one, but it was up.
So these bees are just trying to get reorganized again, and see how they're fanning at the entrance right here?
Yeah.
What they're doing there is they're trying to reestablish airflow through the colony. Okay, so that's one of the things that they are doing, is that they're always constantly conditioning the hive and keeping it just the right temperature. And in the middle of summertime, there'll be more bees hauling water than there will be bees doing anything else in this part of the world, just to keep the colony cool. All right, let's go look at another.
Have the hive in the shade versus out in the middle of the sun.
Yeah, whatever's comfortable for you, wherever you'd rather have the hive. In the good old days, I would have said, yes, absolutely, put it in the shade. And anymore, I try to put more of my colonies in the sun, simply because it suppresses hive beetles. Hive beetles like the shade a lot. And they'll avoid the hives if they're out in the sun a little more. They're less successful reproducing in them. And they'll be driven to the bottom. They'll spend most of their time down there where it's cool. So that's where you want to apply your beetle control devices if you've got them in the sun. If you've got them in the shade, they're going to move up. You'll have bees right under the lid in the springtime. When you take the lid off, all the beetles in the hive will be right up there because that's where it's warmest. All right, let's head out this way. Again, watch your step. Most of my equipment is made out of white pine.
Does it make a difference? Will the bees take some types of wood and not to others?
Yeah, I'm sure that they probably have a preference. I'm not sure what it is necessarily, but pine is fine.
Cedar
We
would
sell-
probably have an odor that whether they like it or not, I don't
Well, you know, I was concerned about that, and I made some hybrid top bar hives, like the one right outside the bee barn up there, out of juniper, just to see how they would do. And I put the first one that I made on the deck at our house,
Yeah.
and it captured an early swarm this year, like right off the bat. And I thought, well, I guess that's kind of proof that that's not going to be a problem.
Oh,
Now, all right, you get to see wrinkles and all here at Bee Weaver, right? So you've already seen that I did not gauge the honey flow accurately on that last colony. And I was in this colony the same day, and I knew that I needed to feed this hive, but I didn't take time to do it because I was in a big rush to get back to Navasota. And so I'm kind of surprised this colony is still alive, frankly. But it's going to be very small because it was struggling to care for itself, and it didn't have any food when I was in it last time. So they didn't die. She's still here. She's still laying. Okay, so this is actually a pretty nice comb to pass around, so you can see all the phases of brood here. They're not quite as organized as that last hive, but you got plenty of eggs to look at out here on the margin. If you want more practice, and we're in the sun, so you're
I got it.
might be able to see better. But so this colony consists of basically 2.5 combs, and that's it.
Oh, there's some.
So the honey flow needs to go ahead and start for this hive's sake, or else I really do need to mix up some syrup and give this one a shot. Do you see the queen, everybody? Come find the queen for me.